Good day. My name is Gia, and welcome to this webinar that is designed to not only help teachers understand the ins and outs of Typing Agent, but we will help you use the program well by showcasing the dashboard and its components, the curriculums available to you, the multiple ways to view your reports, your rosters tab. Then finally, I will walk you through the program to show you what your students see and how they use Typing Agent. With that in mind, let's get started. When you use Typing Agent, we want you to please tell your students always look for your school's name or your district's name at the top of the page. Many times we have students or teachers complaining, hey, my students can't log in or we can't log in. Well, that is because many times they go to typingagent.com, they click on this login button, and they put their username and password there. Should they do that, many times they will get an error message. So always train them to go to your school or your district's secure Typing Agent web address and log in there with the username and password that you've given them. With that, they will be able to log in without any issue. They can log in with Google, Microsoft ClassLink, or Clever, whatever you've set for them to do. They will just click on those pieces and get in. If you've set it so that your teachers can self-register or your students can self-register, you would have given them the codes they need to do so, then they can go ahead and do that. Otherwise, they just put their username and passwords in there and log in. So now this webinar is focused on teachers, so I'm going to log in with my teacher credentials. Whenever you log in, you will land on this dashboard page, what I like to call my splash page. Now, if you're starting at the beginning of the school year, it's a whole new school year for you, and you were to see anything like this, you see data on your page, this tells me that I have my last year's information still available in my database. I do not want that. So please, if you see any of this, any action going on in this bar graph, please contact your administrator and tell them reset your school's data or reset the district's data. That way, this will all appear with nothing in it, and your students begin with a fresh slate working towards their new year's goals, that is new school year's goals, because hopefully they've been promoted to the next grade level and your data has been archived. So they now start with a clean slate. They will take the diagnostic test so we get a snapshot of what they know at the beginning of the school year. We then have them, for students in grades 3 and above, we have them take a placement test so that they're put on the right path for their keyboarding instruction for this new school year. So make sure that is done, and then your students can start from scratch in their new grade level. So let's go from left to right. Should I ever want to get to this dashboard page and I'm somewhere else in the program, I can always click on this Typing Agent name here, and it takes me back there. Some teachers, if your screen is small, you will see this Hamburger. So should you ever want to see the classrooms that are available to you, just click on that green Hamburger to the left, and they will appear there for you. Should you ever want to search for students or classrooms that are available, you just put whatever you want to find, put the student's name or the classroom's name there, and it will pop up for you. Then, if ever I'm on this page or want to go back here, I can click Dashboard. The curriculum, should I click there, I'll see the curriculums available for me. Reports takes me to the reports area. The roster tells me all the students that are in my class that are or available to me. And finally, my name will be at the top right, or however my administrator has my name in the program as the teacher. Your teacher's name will appear here. Under this drop-down menu, you will see your profile. Should you click on that, you will see you can put a picture there should you want to do so. And this is where you can change your username, your email address. You can put in a password, change your password, or you can change your interface to English or Spanish. Now, those of you, if your schools or districts use Clever or ClassLink, you will not be able to do this, or should you change it, when our nightly syncs are done, it will override what you have put here. So this is only for people who are using our secure web address to log into Typing Agent. You can change your password because there's no other platform that's going to change this for you. If you're working in multiple schools, teachers, you can click to switch schools here and change whatever school you want to go to. If your administrator only has you at one school, then you'll just be able to see that school. But if you were in multiple, the other school names will appear here. You just click on that school and click update. That will take you to that school. The demo student button is most important because this is how you get to log in as a student without messing up your data. So you can go in and do anything that a typical student will do. If you wanted to practice your own keyboarding, coding, or use any of these interfaces or the curriculums, you can do it. This will not, whatever you score in these areas will not apply to your districts or your schools or a student's interface. Many times teachers want to log in as the students and do the work as the student. When you do that, you're going to push your students' results higher. And by doing that, it's going to affect the school or your classroom's data, and that's not right. So should you ever want to go into this area or see exactly what students are doing, just log in here and do so. I want to get back to my page, so I'm going to click to return to admin, and it takes me back to this page. Now, we were looking under this drop-down menu. There's a solution center here. Teachers, do make this your very best friend. If you were to click on Solution Center, notice another window pops up. You can search whatever keyword you want. So should you have any questions, my role is a teacher, so I put teacher, then a comma, and then say I wanted to understand reports. So I can put reports there, and this article pops up. I can click this, or any reports that are linked to teachers, they're going to show up first. I click on that and notice the help article walks me through the reports that are available to teachers. Notice, and I can click on any of these blue ones, and it's going to further take me to that specific report that's available for teachers. So just note that is under the Solution Center, under that drop-down menu, but we'll notice it's also in the program as we move along. Notice this demo student button is there, but notice it's also here. This is how important using this button is. Do not log in as a student and use that student's interface. Use your own interface so that you do not get false data in your reports. So I'm going to log on now to this. Let's continue looking at this dashboard. So as I said, this should be blank if you're beginning the new school year. And if you're not, it's going to, this area takes into consideration what your students have done for the month. You can click on anything here and look at your school. It's going to tell you what the class has done. You can see what class has been most busy and the grade level, what your grades are doing for that particular week. I can go back to my dashboard and you can click on any of these and you're going to get information, just global information of what's going on. Note that your administrators also have access to this and they can do a comparison of how your classrooms are doing in comparison to the others. Let's go to curriculums. These are the curriculums that are available to typing in Typing Agent. We have a core keyboarding curriculum, and you'll see that the K2 curriculum, designed for kindergarten to grade 2, has 106 lessons. In the K2 curriculum, the students have 3 mountains to climb. The keyboarding curriculum has the 3 plus has 283 lessons, and they're both gamified. So we have kids doing adventures, playing games, and then we give them formative assessments. And in the K2 environments, it comes up as practice lessons. Sorry, it'll have practice or review. And in the 3 plus curriculum, it comes up as keys, and you'll see a keyboard. That's where we're grabbing the data and evaluating students based on how well they've done there. In all the other areas, they're just practicing the new keystrokes they've learned. So even though we're saying we have X amount of lessons, notice keyboarding practice can be done in all of these other curriculums. So at near the end of the school year, we have teachers writing saying, hey, my kids have finished the keyboarding curriculum. So what do we do next? Well, what Typing Agent is doing now is from the time as they go through the program, we're linking all of these different curriculums to experience points. Students earn experience points when they successfully or as they meet certain targets. So if the students were to earn 1 star in their lessons, we give them 10 experience points. 2 stars gets 2 times 10, 20 experience points. And at 2 stars, this is kids are working at grade level. All of our lessons are designed for students to meet or work at grade level competencies. So whenever you make any changes, make sure that the 2-star rating is what you're changing first, and then make adjustments to the 3-star and 1-star so that everything syncs up. So if students get 3 stars in any of their lessons, they will get 30 experience points. And should they repeat any of the lessons, they will get 1 experience point only. So we have it set that when children go through their lessons, they earn experience points. And so you'll find these different curriculums popping up for them in their area at different times. This agent challenge lesson, we note that many times teachers want this opened at the wrong time. They go in and they make this available to students immediately. Do not do that. For example, students in grade 4, to get 2 stars, they have to work at 20 words per minute at 85% accuracy. So if students are working at that level or in grade 4, and you ask them to do this agent challenge, we're going to be pushing them beyond their 20 words per minute. We may say type a 21, 25, 30 words per minute. So it's not fair to have your children working at this challenge lesson when they've not even completely learned all the letters yet and met the targets for their grade level. Leave it to us and we will open up this curriculum for them at the appropriate moment. Should you ever want to find out when we will open these up for your students, just again, go to the Solution Center, and I should show you again. Go there, click Solution Center, and I will put teacher because that's my role, and I will put experience points because that's my keyword. And notice it will come up either as teacher or general. I can click on experience points and you will have an article that details this. Notice these are the when children have earned so many experience points in the K2 or the 3+ environment, this is when those different curriculums will open. So they're opening up at appropriate moments. So as children complete these lessons in the keyboarding curriculum, these different curriculums will open up. Now, you may not have the digital citizenship. That's not linked to experience points because some schools want this opened immediately. Some may want it opened later. So we leave that and the Spanish curriculums open at your discretion. So those are the curriculums. I will look at reports later, but notice that you have reports. You can click on the reports. You can see the different reports that are available to you per class. So you can choose your different classes. And notice in green, we detail what information you will get from each of the reports. Note that, for example, the diagnostic test, students will do the diagnostic test the first time they enter typing agent for this school year. So we will measure where they are. This is acting like your baseline test. We tell you where students are. And then as children do, say the K2 curriculum, they get 3 other tests as they go through it'll pop up at different intervals. As they do the 3+ keyboarding curriculum, they will do this test 28 different times. So at different times, the diagnostic test pops up because it is designed to show their improvement over time. They get to tackle all the keys on the keyboard, all the letters and different keys that they've learned, and we are then evaluating how well they've done. The placement test. The placement test is designed again to see what is it that your children know at the beginning of the school year. So that's the first test they're going to do. Based on how well they've done, they will be placed on paths A through, and I will just show you this one, run this report. They're placed on rows either A through E on different paths. Many times teachers will say, okay, students have finished path A. Is there a way for them to go to path B? Well, the only way they can go to path B is if they were to retake that placement test and erase everything they've done and retake that test. And if they show that they can get on that path B, then we put them there. If not, nope, they will start from path A again. So what to do is, instead of having them do those other retake the tests, make sure that they do all those different curriculums. And if they've finished those, then you can always go in and reset that student's data by clicking here, edit student, and you can click not to upgrade the student, but to reset. Do not upgrade grade with reset progress. This means do not promote them to the next grade level because they're still in grade 4, the student. Just click here, click reset the student's progress. And before you do this, actually, you should go and collect and archive their data. And this is the way you can then reset their progress. You've saved everything they've done, then go and reset this. This will have the student reset from 0 or start from 0. So let's go back to this report and we can continue to look at any of these reports that you want to do, that you want to see. Sometimes if this grade level scheduled test, I'll show you how you can create those scheduled tests. You can design it to go to a specific classroom or multiple classes. This is where you will get those reports. Again, just go to the Solution Center, search for any test you want, and we will give you a help article on that report. Your roster, this here will tell you all the students that are under your control, that are in your roster. You can search for them. If your administrator has given you permission to add additional students and staff to your roster, you can go ahead and do so. So you can import with a CSV file, or you can add a student manually. So what if you were to do an import staff, you just click on this and we will tell you how to create that CSV file. Essentially, a CSV file is a spreadsheet, but instead of saving it as an Excel or some other spreadsheet, you save it as a CSV file. CSV files are finicky, so should you have any accents on children's names or special characters, make sure take them out. If there are any spaces or hyphens, take them out, and then do the upload. Then you can always go and make the adjustment on your child or teacher's names. That way you can import without any error. Should you have an error, another column will appear here with a triangle telling you what type of error you're seeing. So these are the files that you will see. You have to use a C, U, or D to add those. Now notice, once you've done that, you upload, you'll see these different areas filling out, and when it's completed, step 4, this will show up that, hey, you've successfully uploaded your staff. You can do the same for students. You can upload, or you can add an individual student. You can give the student a username, and remember, all usernames must be unique. Give the student a password. Put the student at a specific grade level so that the correct curriculum will be given to that student. Put the student in the correct classroom, and all the classrooms that are available to you will appear because you can only manage your classrooms. Then you put the student's first name and last name, and then click create, and then that student will appear in that roster, in that classroom specifically for you. Now, remember, these are only available if you're using the web address. If you're using Clever, ClassLink, or some other rostering system, then you will not be able to do this. Also, whenever you do anything, things like you will only have this login as, because you will not be able to edit any enrollments or do anything else for that particular student. Now, what I wanted to do was bring you over to this funnel, because many times you may have students, you will say, hey, but I know I've put this student in somewhere, but I don't see that student. Go and look at this funnel and click on unassigned students. Many times you will find the student sitting right here. So if you wanted to move a student or multiple students, just click that there. Click on enrollments. You can search for a classroom that you want that child or the children to be put in. If I wanted them in my Spanish class, I click that. And then, yes, I know it's here. I'm going to click enter. And then I click off there. I can go and then check on my Spanish classroom and see if my students are here. Spanish class. And for some reason that didn't move over. So you know what? Let me do that again. I go to roster, find my unassigned students. I will just put these here. Enrollments, Spanish. Click, make sure I add that plus. Yes. And go here. Nope, I don't want to do anything there. And go to Spanish. Yes. And now my kids are there. Notice I have 2 additional students that I didn't have there before. So this is how you can add students or move students from the assigned area to this area here, to any particular classroom that you want. Just find the classroom, click to move them over, and then they move over to the classroom that you wanted. Now let me show you how you can create a different classroom. So those of you who may want to be adding, and two, you have to make sure that your administrators have given you permission to do this. Again, if you're using Clever ClassLink, you cannot add classrooms because the rostering system will do that for you. Should you want to add a classroom, you give your classroom a name. I'm going to call it Test 4. I can put a grade level to it. I am the teacher for that classroom. I can always add another teacher in my school. Let's see, are there other teachers? If I know, okay, I can look for Scully. Okay, so I see Dale is in my school. Dale. I can add Dale to this. Add Dale as an additional teacher. On the bottom here, I can click which days of the week I'm going to see this particular classroom. Click create, and then my test 4 class, notice it appears here. Notice I don't have any students in that classroom as yet, so I can now go and add students to this classroom. Either I can add them as a single student, a block of students. If I want my students to self-register, I can do this. I can enable this area, and once I enable it, it tells me, oops, I clicked it twice, that's why it went away. I have to give them this particular code. I give them the web address and tell them, hey, you have to use this particular code to sign in. Remember when I started the webinar, I showed you if students are to self-register, then they go here. Then you have to tell them, use this code to make sure they assign themselves to this particular classroom, or I can import my students with a CSV file. That's how you will get students added to this particular classroom. Notice here too that this has SB telling me that I'm the main teacher, but remember I added Dale Dane as a secondary teacher. So that's how you can have, if you have multiple teachers wanting access to this classroom, you can go ahead and do so just by adding them as that additional teacher. You can edit this how you see fit. You can change the name of that classroom should you not want it. It tells you that this class code, if children were to register, that's what you can do. That's the code they should use. I'm now going to log in as, I'm going to look at this particular classroom because this is what I want to show you. In this particular classroom, it tells me that these are the students in my classroom. Should any of these students be a special needs classroom, and because this is my demo account, I've been playing around in this often, and I've made adjustments for all of my students. So I can click on any particular student, and I can make accommodations for my students. First, it shows me who the student is. These are the targets that my students are working towards. And if I wanted to make any particular changes for this student, I can go ahead and do so. So this student is, I'm not sure, this is a student who's in grade 4 because I have it called grade 4. But I can see immediately that this student here is working towards different goals. What I can do is I can go on the bottom here, click on grade 4. I can click on my district's goals and see it tells me what my district has set for my goals. But then I can look up here and say, hey, but these are not the same. So it tells me just at a glance that this student I changed or I've made modifications because this student was not working or this working at this is just too easy for this particular student. So hence I can go and make changes. Now, if this is still, I go back after a month or so and I see that this child is still acing this all the time, getting 3 stars, I can actually go here and make adjustments for this student and change this student who's in grade 4. I can make changes for this student because I want my students to be pushed at all times. make something different. And notice I'm changing for all of these, and I'm going to put this at 25. I'm changing the first, second, and third star, 3-star requirements. And for this student, remember, we're always testing for 2 stars, and students when they get 2 stars, they earn 20 experience points. And when they earn these, this is when different curriculums open for them. So I'm challenging this particular student to work at this level. The standard proficiency should always be at 2 stars, because when they do any of their tests, we're looking at this proficiency. You can change it to 1 star, and that your children can move on whenever they hit 1 star. But remember, our tests will always be at 2 stars. So whatever changes you want to make sure that 2 stars is where that change is happening. And we suggest leaving this at no max retries, but we do leave it up to you to decide to make those changes. Many times teachers would say, let me put this at 4 max retries. Please do not do that, because when you do that, the children, we're giving them typically we give them 2 characters to learn. And after they've successfully mastered those 2 characters at 2 stars, we then, or 3 stars, we then move them on to the next lesson. Imagine if they've, after 2 stars, and they've had 4 retries and they still haven't mastered those or are working at grade level, we add 2 additional keystrokes to them. Now they have 4 keystrokes to grapple with. It's not going to be fair that they're struggling. When they're struggling, they're going to start cheating by looking at the keyboard or doing something else to cheat and quote unquote cheat the system. So please keep it at 2 stars at no max retries, which is our default settings, and then click apply. And then it will, you'll notice that it moves off there, and should I want to check to see if that has taken, notice I now see the new target settings I've set for this student. Now that I'm here, I can still go through and look at different settings that are available to this student. Notice this lock on screen keyboard. This, if many times, because students can make changes in their own interfaces, if you do not want them to move that keyboard, you can actually go and activate all the students' names and lock that on screen keyboard so they cannot take that off in their interfaces. In the games, we have, as I told you, we have all of them. We've now linked games to experience points, because our lessons are done in gamified ways. So we don't need the games council to open up until students have done enough of the curriculum. So if you find that you have students who already know how to type well, you can actually go in and modify this and change this to 0 for this particular student, and click apply, and this means the student doesn't have to earn any experience points. The game council will be opened for that student immediately. In accessibility options, this is for students who have special needs. Maybe there's a really dyslexic student, so you can put any of these, this open dyslexic font setting for that, Nova or Source Code Pro, any of these that will help that student see those fonts differently. You can, the font size, you can change any of these for this particular student. Should you have a student who only can use one hand well, be it the left or right, you can make adjustments for that student. Because we're working for the norm, it's our default setting is both hands, but you can go in and make adjustments for particular students. Should you need high contrast, closed captioning, or text to speech, you can click any of those for this particular student, click any of those and apply them. Notice the tool tip is there to tell you exactly when you make an action, what is being affected by that action. Finally, with digital citizenship, should you want certain curriculums or areas to be open or closed in this particular curriculum for this student, you can click on them to open or close them for this student. So this is how you make modifications for a particular student. If you wanted to print your login cards for this particular student, disenroll this student, you can do any of those from this area. Remember, again, if you're using Clever or ClassLink, these will not be available for that, for you to do. Oops, I forgot to show you, should you want to add your classroom, import a classroom via Google Classroom, you can do that. Click on there, you follow these, you will have to follow. I'm not going to let follow in or add Google Classrooms via that means, but you can always go in here in your Solution Center and look for how Google Classroom setup, and we will show you how you can import your students via Google Classroom. So I'm still on this particular classroom. Let's look at settings. It shows me all the curriculums that are available to me. If you see, say you have your grade 2 students who have a grade 3 curriculum, well, that's not quite right. You can actually click on a curriculum and remove it, or and if the K2 students should really only have one curriculum, that is the K2 students in grades 3 and above should only have the 3+ curriculum. If it were, say, a grade 5 student who was really special needs, you can click on that student's name and adjust that student in curriculums under their interface. But this is where you can remove all or add all for a particular classroom. So if you wanted, we already have these coming up. The only one we don't have, as I said, the only two will be the Spanish curriculum. So if you wanted all of your students in this grade 4 to have access to this Spanish curriculum, and it should really only be the Spanish curriculum, and this is only keyboarding, so all the instructions and lessons will be in Spanish. You should have this enabled and get rid of one of these. You can only have one of these going, the keyboarding, K through 2 or 3+, or the Spanish, and then and the digital citizenship. You can assign it to all if you want them done immediately, or you can assign experience points and you can put experience points to this, be it 300, whatever you want, you put it there and assign it and it will be done. Should you ever want to take a look at the lessons that are in Typing Agent for your students on the curriculum, let's just look, because this is a grade 4 I'm dealing with. I can click on this and I can see what lessons are available to my students. I can look at these and I can see from the get-go that these are where this is where the teaching goes on. This, whenever I see a star or the students see a star, this is the Star Destroyer lessons. This is a game where the students get to practice whichever keys they're learning. This is a video. So after the video happens, we then, where they see, where we model how to type those keystrokes. And then here, whenever you see this sign, this means that this is a type up lesson. So in these here, these lessons here, students are practicing or learning how to type new keystrokes. Whenever you see this keyboard on their screen, this means that it's a main lesson, and this is where we're doing some sort of formative assessments. Then based on that, how well the students have done, this type up lesson will come where the student gets to practice what they've learned. So they practice, and it's just looking at which keystrokes they tend to make errors with. So based on that, they will then get practice keys. Some other things here, whenever you see the finger pointing to the left, it means that they're doing an anchor shift key where they have to hold down the F key and practice only with the right fingers. This one here, this is anchor right, so they have to hold the J key down and type only with the left fingers. So all of those are gamified types of learning activities for your kids. So for example, I'm going to click on World 3, and in Typing Agent, we have 32 worlds for your children to do. And in each world, we have different lessons and activities. So in this world, we have 6 different activities, and you can click on any one of them to do any of the activities as that particular, as a student. Notice over here we have path A. So based on how well your students do on their 2-minute placement test, we put them on a path. Remember, as I said, so if a student's on path A, and I'm going to click in grade 4, I go to the main lesson. This tells me, hey, this particular student will get these keys to do, or something like this to do. But if the student were, say, on path D, their lesson will look like this. Because on path D, it tells me the student already knows how to type. So we're now going to give them words and sentences where they get to practice these things. So after World 3, we're really expecting students, because by then they would have learned all of the keyboard, and then we're going to start practicing certain things for them to do. Should you look at this calendar here, if you want to assign work for your students to do, you can click and look at the date you want things to. Here you want this particular lessons to be done by October 4th. And if you see this here, I can go in and I can make a correction here. Because why this is happening is because I have not reset my data. Remember when we had all of that stuff from last year? This is now interfering with what I've done. So once my data has been reset, and you remember, ask your administrator to clear that all up. Once that is done, I will be able to use this and set this date for my students. But this here is just a way for you to create, you can tell your students that you want certain activities done by a certain day. I'm going to click back, and again, if you clicked on any of these, you can actually go in and see this is what this children would see on their different interfaces. And remember, I had explained this is where the teaching goes on. This is the Star Destroyer lesson. This is the game. This is the video. So these will appear, and all of those ones are practice types of activities. And whenever they see the keyboard, this is where we're looking now to test what they know. This is what's going to appear in your assessment area or in your reports. So I was looking at settings, target settings for this grade 4. Remember, this is what grade 4 is working at. And Typing Agent, we want your students to practice 10 minutes a day, 5 days a week. If students are, and many students now are working from home. So please tell parents and siblings, do not do the work, and don't go and spend all day on Typing Agent. We know it's fun, but try their best to stay 10 minutes, 5 days a week, and then give their fingers a little break. Let them flick their fingers, blink their eyes, to just give their brain a little reset, and then go back and start doing lessons. Our lessons are short and sweet. They will be 2 minutes maximum. So have them do it, and then just do 5 lessons, and then they can stop for the day. They get conscientious, dedicated practice. Then we know that your students, if they were to do that, they will meet the targets for their grade levels. So that's the grade levels they're working towards. Lesson settings. This, you can enable the leaderboard, and many times the students like to see the leaderboard, but in their leaderboard area, we will only show the top 6. And then if that student is not in the top 6, we will tell that student where he or she lands. In your teacher's report, you'll be able to see all of them. In the games, this is where you can enable or disable certain games. You can use grit coins, and grit coins is a great way if you wanted your older students, the kids who already know how to type well, to use grit coins. Well, this is a cool way to do it. With grit coins, students have to successfully earn 2 stars to get 5 grit coins. If they repeat a lesson, they get 0 grit coins. So they earn the grit coins, and the grit coins they earn, they can open up specific games, or they can use the grit coins to buy different backgrounds on their interfaces, or get different clothes or things for their avatars. So it's a great way to link mathematics with keyboarding. And many times we have students who will spend up all of the grit coins and say, hey, but I have no more grit coins left. Well, if you have 50 grit coins and you use 50 grit coins to buy a special background, then you'll have none left. So that means they have to then go and successfully complete more lessons to earn more grit coins. So with the games, then you can always link the games that they can play games with the grit coins. Accessibility options. This is where you can make all background changes for the whole classroom. So by this, remember I went through all of this. When you want to hide on-screen keyboard or lock the on-screen keyboard for everybody so that no one can take that away, click that on-screen keyboard and apply it, and then your students will not be able to do that. In the digital citizenship area, if you want to lock that for all students or permit it for all students, just click that and save it. And this here, the students will not be able, just click there. You don't have to save it because it automatically saves. The students will not have access to that particular curriculum. In Gradebook, this here will tell you how students are faring in all of their keyboarding activities so far. It tells you the total time spent, average accuracy, words per minute or speed, and the grade they've attained so far. Notice with time, typing agent looks at actual time spent typing and not sitting doing nothing. So many times the students will complain, but I spent 15 minutes today on typing. Well, was it 15 minutes logged into the program or 15 minutes actually typing? Because they can click on a page and then do nothing. We're not typing, we're not gathering the time they spent doing nothing or the time they spent playing games. That's separate and apart from our timekeeping protocol. Only when they're actually keying, pressing keys, that's the time we're actually counting. And this here is what the time shows. In the progress report, in this reports area, notice it looked different from what you saw here. This here will tell you how many experience points the student has earned, how many of the name of each student, if they purchase different avatars for their students or what the student will look like, and if they've unlocked any of those different curriculums. And remember, we're opening different curriculums at different times. So this is why you'll see Nancy Forth has these open and it's in green, whereas these kids only have 1 or 2 open, just very few open. So this tells me at a glance that this student is doing more work than the others. The time report, you can click on time report, choose which different curriculum you want to see, and you can see at a week, you can customize, you can look for times for this month, 180 days, or you can customize your dates. Put your start and end dates. With all of the reports, you can export that data. So I'm not going to go through all of these. You can always, should you ever want to know more, you can click on that Solution Center. and go through some. But what I do want to emphasize, because this here, the progress report will help you with your keyboarding instruction. For K2 students, now this, notice I'm on grade 4. So, and I clicked on K2. My kids are not doing the K2 environment. This is why I have nothing. So I click here. It takes me on my summary report. Now, if I see here where these students had 0, 0, this will not happen anymore because we've already made an adjustment. So this here, because this is my test account where I type badly sometimes, just to show you what happens. Should you go into your progress report and you see your student just keep getting 1, 1, 1, 1, 1s, and you have it set, like typing agent would not let them move on if they got 1s. But if you've gone and you've done a reset to 1 star, they can move on. And after 4 max retries, this is when you'll start getting those 1s. Then it means that this is a bit too difficult for that student, so I should go in and modify that student's settings, target settings, as I had shown you before. Now, what I will do is after the students have done the placement test, come to this area and check after 2 weeks to see how well your students are doing. If you see 3, 3, 3, 3, 3s, then it's telling me that the targets are just too easy for the students. So you may go in and modify the 1, 2, and 3 star settings by, say, 3 to 5 words per minute. If the student is getting 100% accuracy, then move it from 85 to, say, 88 or 90% accuracy, because we want it to be challenging. We want to get in Csikszentmihalyi's flow state, where your students are having fun, yet being challenged and learning as they go along. So this is how you can start to make modifications for your students. Check after 2 weeks, make the modifications to see that they're doing really well, or see if they're struggling. If you see this half star, it means that this student is actually working in World 1, Lesson 7, and they're doing activities in Lesson 7. They've not completed them all. So this is what this is where that student is. These are where these other students are. If ever you see flags, it means that they're having trouble with accuracy. So instead of lowering their accuracy, then lower their words per minute, so that they don't feel stressed to try and type faster by making all these errors. With typing agent, accuracy is more important than speed. So when you see this bronze star, it means students are attaining 1 star. The silver star, silver medal, students are working at grade level. So this is amazing. You really only ever want to see silver and gold stars for 3 stars, meaning that your student is working at or above grade level. So if you see so many gold stars, then because it's not one size fits all keyboarding, go ahead and make the adjustment for that particular student. Go and adjust their targets to make it a little bit more difficult for that student. And you will see that that student can even go beyond their grade level expectations. I wanted to really focus on that. And if you clicked on detailed, it tells you where the student is in terms of their keyboarding curriculum at this point, and the grade they've attained so far. And again, I'm seeing this 553 because I have not reset my data for so long, and I know that's bad practice. So again, make sure that your administrator has reset your data for the school year. Diagnostic tests, I can see how my students how they're doing. And remember, this is meant to show progress over time. It tells you how students have done and the grade they've earned for each diagnostic test. And again, just go ahead, explore these different reports that are available for you. many times too, teachers want to know how the students, where they are in that placement test. So which curriculum on which path the students were placed. You can go ahead there. The weekly report, it tells you how well students have done from Monday to Saturday, Monday to Sunday for this week, last week, 4 weeks ago, the past 4 weeks, or you can customize your date. Again, notice all reports are printable and downloadable. The class schedule test, should you create a test that you want your kids to do, you can create your own by putting in the context. You have the content. You have to give the test a name, or you can use any of our tests that we have here. So you can choose any of those, put them in. You give the test a start date, an end date, and the first time within that date range your students log in, they will be forced to do that test. The test duration, you can give them 1, 2, or 3 minutes to do your test. Maximum retries, 1, 2, or 3. The thing to note is if you give the students 3 minutes to do their test, once they've done that test, we ask them, are you happy with your results? Do you want to redo that test? If they click no, we move that test and we move them on to their next activity. They have the choice. Even though you set it at 3, they can decide whether or not they want to do it. If they click yes, when they get the reports, they do it the first time, they say, I want to redo the test. This exact test appears again. We give them their scores. They can decide yes or no based on how well they did. They can try it for that third time. Then finally, we don't give them any options. The results we will show you is their best accuracy results. So we show you the words per minute based on the best accuracy score, and that's the score that your child will get. You can always preview the test before you save it and submit and send it to the children to do. Test it out yourself, see how it goes. The activity log tells you exactly what you're doing, if you've made any changes for your particular student. Like note today, I made that change for Tyler. It tells me that I've done things and I've actually made 78 particular changes for the class. And then when you're on here, it tells you which student is actually, and this is a just-in-time report. So I look to see if any of my students are working in any of these particular curriculums, or when was the last time they worked in any of them. Note that certain curriculums are open for certain students, so only those will appear. So if they haven't done any work, well, it won't be there. So it tells you just in time if your kid is working on something at a particular time. And then if you're in classroom now, just check the time and look for that date and time, and then you know your child is working on that particular curriculum. So take, for instance, you wanted everybody to be in the keyboarding curriculum. Well, you would look at the keyboarding curriculum 3+ for this particular grade level and note that that student is, if the students are working there at that time. The notepad is a great way to integrate keyboarding with word processing. You can have students write a report on how well they've done for that week, what things they had problems with, have them beginning to self-regulate. They can go ahead, write that, submit it to you. You can see what the students have written. You can print it or review it. If you click reviewed, then a sign shows up that yes, you reviewed it. If you don't want to see it anymore, you can click to delete it and go ahead, make sure you print it before you delete it. I'm going to cancel that. If you want more help with that, you can actually go ahead and look in the Solution Center and get that. And look in the Solution Center here, but notice the Solution Center is also here where it says help. You can search for whatever you want and find it there. One thing I wanted to note too is these 3 dots. If you were to click on that for this particular classroom, you can add a teacher via that means. so that the teacher can have access to these. So if you have a resource teacher who helps you, you can add that teacher to your classroom. Should you want to export students, write letters in English or Spanish to send home to encourage parents not to cheat, or to, and note it's editable, to not do the work for their students or for their children, or don't have their siblings do the work for them. But here's the website they go to, have them practice every day. These are letters you can send home. We do have offline activities, and we do have the keyboarding cutout. So for students who work from home and they may not have computing devices at home or internet connection, you can actually have them send them these, where they can print and cut out this and practice their keyboarding skills at home. Just take a book and practice typing what they see. Just like, and many times people will say, well, that doesn't work. Well, we know it works because many times when students play the piano, they don't have a piano or a keyboard at home, but they actually practice their finger positionings with these. And with the K2 kids, we're not stressing proper keyboarding fingers with them at this point. We want them to sit properly when they're at the keyboard, understand that the left hand and the right hand each hand has its own specific duties. So if the K2 students can use more than 2 or 3 fingers on the left hand to type in the left hand side of the keyboard, and the right hand using more than 2 or 3 fingers on the right hand for grades K through 2, we think then that's a great, you've made great progress. Again, it's familiarization of the keyboard, understanding that those keys never shift, trying to use the right fingers for them, but key thing with them is sitting properly, using more than one finger, and don't let one finger go all over the keyboard. No, using the right hand, using 2 or more fingers, left hand using more than 2 or more fingers. The certificate, should any of your students complete that, you can print certificates for them, and on that certificate we tell them the words per minute and accuracy they've attained. If you see a student who's improving really, you can go ahead and send them this, create a certificate for them. And of course, we have them for the 3 through 12 and K through 2. We specify which grade level they're in, and the background will look like what the background they're using. A digital citizenship certificate is there for those who've completed the curriculum. Should you ever want to create an announcement to send off to your kids, they'll see that when they get into the program. And delete classroom should you ever want to delete it. These things are under these boxes, but many times teachers have so much going on that they don't see them. So now I'm going to click on students, and I'm at the last part of this webinar where I walk you through just quickly as a student in this particular grade. Now I click on this area. I'm going to log in as this student. Notice I have all of these different options to reset, move a student, print that login card for the student. If I wanted to edit, that is, move a curriculum, change the experience points for this particular student, I do that. If I wanted to move the student away from this classroom and put that student in the unassigned students area, I can do that here. Delete the student, then I get a warning message, I can do that. Edit the student, that is, change the password, change the grade, I can do that here. Or see which classrooms the student is in, that's here. Again, for those of you using Clever and ClassLink, you will not have all of these options because the school's rostering system is here. The only time we recommend you logging in as a student is if one of your children complain, hey, I have a problem. Something's happening. I cannot move past this even though I'm meeting my goals. We ask you then to log in as the student and see what's actually going on. So I'm going to quickly walk you through this. This is Nancy. And again, this is my test account. So this is why I have both curriculums open. She's in grade 4. So hopefully your grade 4 students will not be seeing this K2 keyboarding curriculum. But if it's open, that's there for them. Anything in green means that the students have opened. They've got enough experience points, and these are now available to them. The agent challenge lessons, notice it tells you when the student hovers over it, it tells them how many experience points they need to open them up. Any of these locked ones, it tells them, and any of these green ones, yes, they can actually go ahead and do this. So moving across, it tells you in this particular curriculum, this student has completed 55% of it. This here tells me that Nancy is typing on average 28 words per minute, 92% accuracy. The typing time, she spent about 11 hours in this typing curriculum, and that's with all of the other all of the years data that's in there previously. The typing time. This here is for typing streaks. We really want students to log in every day, but they may not have the option to log in every day for 10 minutes and earn 2 stars. So we want them to log in at least 72 hours. And this streak is just encouraging them to get in there, and every day they log in consistently, it goes up 1, 2, 3, and students like seeing that. So those who can do that can keep their streaks burning. Game time, this is for those using grit coins. With grit coins, they purchase game time. So they get to, and game time is purchased in multiples of 10. This tells them that they have 2 minutes of game time left. Once that 2 minutes is gone, they will then be prompted to use their grit coins to purchase more grit coins. Remember in the teacher section that I had enabled that grit coins can be used. And with the experience points for this particular grade level, it's over 2,000 that they had earned. Notice this particular student, I should click here that you click here to see if any assignments, the students click there to see if you have assigned any assignments. If nothing is there, then they know just continue with what they were doing. They literally have to click on this to see if there are assignments for them. Experience points here, it tells the students how many experience points they've earned, and they've earned so far this. This is why certain curriculums weren't open. With grit coins, they click on that. And should they want to purchase any grit coins, notice this one here, they have 375. If I wanted to buy, even though I have 10 minutes of game time there, the student can purchase game time. So far, and it tells them, it gives them an idea of how many games they purchased, how many they've used, and how many minutes they have remaining. Should they want to buy any of these grit coins, notice we tell them how much the outfits cost for any of these avatar changes that they want to do. In terms of badges, this particular student has earned 12 badges so far. They can go ahead and earn more badges. We're consistently adding more to them. This here for this particular student, this student can click here on this drop-down menu. They can choose to purchase any of these here that's blocked out. They need to use their grit coins to purchase any of those. In terms of selecting language, the instructions will be either in English or Spanish. For those students, they get to choose which ones they want. And again, it's only the instructions. The Spanish curriculum that we have, everything will be in Spanish. But this here, just if you have kids who just came to the US, came to your class and just do not know how to speak English well, then you can have that their instructions can be in Spanish, but their lessons, again, will be in English. This is where they choose their avatars. They can choose whichever skin hue they want, and based on what they want, then they then can change and add the clothes in that grit coin area. In voiceovers, your students, if they wanted to hear the speech and the speech rate, they can actually go here. And if they wanted to hear an accent with any of those, they can change those for them there. And it has to be enabled. And so if your students chose to do this, like you may have students who have difficulty with reading. So this here can actually be an asset to them. Enable them, but make sure that they wear headphones so that they don't disturb the classroom. So the child can actually do that. And then this minimize keyboard. Those of you using Chromebooks or other smaller computers with smaller interfaces, this here will push everything up. So when they go to do their lessons, this here will appear. So if this, by having them do that from the get-go, this will give them actually more space to type on. So just have them minimize or maximize their keystrokes. And when you minimize it, note when you hover over it, that bar shows up again. I'm going to maximize this. Should I ever want to go back to my interface as a student, I can click on that phone home button and I go here. So I'm going to click on this keyboarding foundations lesson. Notice these different stars. These tells me, these all again relate to how many stars I've attained. And notice it tells me I got 30 out of 30 stars. So remember, as kids go through their lessons, and this particular student, Nancy, is in this world. Notice she's attained 3 stars for all of these. This is why these are dark blue. This light blue lesson, she hasn't attempted as yet. So this is why this is light blue. And these other lessons, they're locked. So she cannot do them as yet. She has to finish this lesson 8. Now, these are all main activities because you can see it has that keyboard signal there. If you clicked on a lesson, she is told immediately what she needs to attain to earn 1, 2, or 3 stars. She's aware of what she has to do, then she can go ahead and do it. Should she be here? Like this here, it's many times teachers will say, how is it that kids take the keyboard off their screen? They do so by clicking on this A with the underscore. This is where they can adjust their interfaces for their font sizes. Instead of disturbing you, they can do this. But notice here, they also can hide that on-screen keyboard. So they can do that so they won't see that keyboard there. Many times we don't want them doing that. So on your teacher's interface, you want them to see where we model for them which fingers they did. So should they make an error, they hear a sound, we show them where the error is and show them the correct finger to use. As soon as they're done, we give them immediate feedback on how well they've done. Here, as you can see, we keep track of how much time is being done. Notice I'm talking instead of typing. In the background, typing agent is only counting how much time they've actually spent typing. So if I were to continue doing nothing after 30 seconds, it will show up as it shows up as that paused. So they have to click a key to continue. I can click that to go back here instead of going back to my phone home button. But what I wanted to show you here is in this particular area, the student can, I went back to world 1. Notice those different things that I was telling you we have. So this here, we give them a video that models how to type that letter. We teach them how to type it. Activity 3 is that Star Destroyer. all of these here, and we typically end with them practicing something. Should they go and repeat any of these lessons? Because notice they've earned three stars for all of these. Repeating these, they earn 0 grit coins. Experience points, they earn 1 because it's a repeated lesson. Then we don't mind them repeating lessons because we know that they're building automaticity. They're finding the keys easily. Again, you can always consult the help or solution center to find out more about these. What I'm going to end on with looking at this progress bar for the student. This is in the student's interface. We tell them what they're doing, the words per minute for their classroom, and at the grade level, if you have multiple grade levels in your school, we tell them what the grade is doing, and they can see how they're doing in comparison with people in their classroom and at their grade level. Here, this student knows, Nancy can see she has not practiced at all this week. This here, if in the, remember in the notepad where we were saying they can go in the notepad and write, they can write an evaluation on how they did for that particular week. Well, that can be based on this chart here. And if they didn't practice, they can tell you why they didn't practice. For all of these curriculums, we tell them how well they've done up to that certain point in time. Now, students will spend most of their time in this Keyboarding Foundations curriculum. If they click on this all days, I like telling them click on all days and tell them scroll and see any lesson where they have not earned 2 or 3 stars. They can actually go and notice this, they have 2 pages of work. They can actually go click on that lesson where they have 2 or 3 stars, and we take them to that lesson, and then they see what they have done. They haven't done this lesson here because I have a special, anyway, there's special interfaces on these. This one has 2, so they can redo this lesson, or they can actually even do these ones they haven't done. So this is how, this will not, your interface will not look like this. This is my demo account where I have special settings put on this that are not available to you. So just note that that's how they can use this interface. Should they ever want to log out of Typing Agent, they click on this log out button, this exit button, and that's how they get out of Typing Agent, and they will log on to our generic screen. To get out, and remember, you were practicing, you were logging in as a student. So now if you want to return to your teacher's interface, you click that return, and notice you're on this page again. So that's all for now. What I'm going to do is just advise you that should you ever have any questions, click on this blue chat button. And remember, you can use your Solution Center, your Help button, or here we have where you can search for articles. You can do so right from in here, and you can put in whatever you want and click this arrow, and we will take you to those particular, what your keyword search is, and articles that will answer your keyword search. You can note that you can click on this if you wanted to send Typing Agent support an email, please do. And if something's going awry, just always take a screenshot and attach that screenshot to the message so we have an exact idea of where to troubleshoot. And you can even copy the area, the URL, exactly where you're having the problem, and put it in this message area, and attach that file to us and send it to us, and we will get that. And ultimately, I want you to know that you can always write to us at support@typingagent.com with that blue in-app chat that I had just shown you. You can always go to the Solution Center at the top right or within the program where it says help, And note that we even have a YouTube channel where every so often we post new videos. Please take note of this, of the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so that every time we put in a new video, you're notified of it. So you can know that any question you possibly can have, we have help articles for it. We have YouTube videos for it. And if you don't see a YouTube video there for it, just send us a note to support a typing agent or using your in-app chat. Can you please do a video for us? And we will put it in the YouTube channel. Because bottom line is, we want you to use typing agent well. We want your students to be successful with using the program. So thanks for listening. I know this is long, but typing agent is a long and it's a robust program. The way you get to knowing it really well is to go in, practice it, use the program. It's front heavy, but once you have things set up properly and your students are working well, you'll find it's going to help you and your students excel a lot. Don't forget, always contact us if you have questions that you cannot find the answers for in the Solution Center or the Help area or our YouTube channel. We are here to help. Stay safe and well. Bye-bye.